All right, if I get your attention, we'll get started. Organizational stuff at the top. Actually, there's only one organizational thing. Many people are signing up for studies and then not showing up for studies. And if you do that, the research assistants have told me this, and this is a potentially big problem because then we can't get slots to everybody in the class if people do this. I have a feeling that the people that are signing up for slots and then not showing up, they're probably saying people sign up for this class and aren't here now. But in the event that some of you are these people, please sign up for slots and then show up for them because there probably won't be enough slots. Or maybe sign up twice. Yeah, because how do we do that? Right, that'd be thousands of slots. Okay, so today we'll get started. We've ended. Yes, question. How can you tell what? How can you tell if you've gotten credit for going? Just go to the experiment, and if you go to the experiment, you got credit for going. There's no reason you have to check because you got it. Yeah. Okay. So yes, question. Yes, there will be further opportunities to sign up for studies. I'll send out. You should check occasionally. I think there may actually be sign up slots now. I'm not 100%. Yeah, there are sign up slots now. So you can go now. You can go when I next send out a V-Space posting. But there are slots now, so that's one option. Yes, sir. Yep. Can you sign up for a second participation? No, not yet. I don't know that we'll be offering a second participation for extra credit, in part because of the high no-show rate. It's thrown a monkey wrench into the whole thing. And so, yes, your colleagues who are signing up for studies and not showing up for them are taking away your extra credit opportunity. Can you believe that? The gall of these people, but again, they're not here, so they're probably not being shamed now. Okay, so we finished the second third of the class, which is awesome, right? So we're now 2/3 of the way through the class, through this sort of journey or odyssey, if you will, to the heart of the human mind and the human social condition. As I think I've mentioned to you several times, there's a sort of arc to this class where it starts at a pretty individual level, right? With cognitive biases, intra-individual processes, things are going on inside your head. And then we scaled up to more social phenomena, things like conformity, role-taking, Zimbardo, obedience to authority, and so on. Now we're descending back down to a more micro level. And starting with today, when we'll be talking about stereotypes, we're going to take a bit of a cognitive turn in the class as we again turn to intra-individual processes. And over the last third of the class, we'll be learning about things like stereotypes, automaticity, which is non-conscious bases of behavior, and after that we'll be learning about relationships, happiness, a phenomenon known as immune neglect, and in a lot of ways I think this is the most interesting material in the class. And this is the part of the class that I think I get personally most excited about teaching, and I hope that you enjoy it. I know it can be tough at the end of a long school year to sustain attention and interest with these unnaturally long semesters that we inflict upon you, but I encourage you to nonetheless keep your attention and interest, and we'll hopefully live up to that. Okay, so what movie are these pictures from? That's right. Can anyone here name all 5 actors that appear on the screen? Raise your hand if you can do it. Okay, all right, it's your time. Yeah, it's you. Yeah, you. Nice. That's good. That's excellent. That's important. That's going to be on the test, so that's really good you can do that. When I was a kid, I loved this movie. Okay, this was like the ubiquitous high school movie, and I was in elementary school, and I still was like totally connected and related to these students. Yes. We're not going to watch it. You saw the largest chunk of it that you'll see, which is the song and the pictures. But when I was a kid, I thought, wow, this movie is so real, you know. These kids, they have such deep problems, you know, and they have problems with their parents, you know, and the school is oppressing them. And I don't know, it just resonated with me, and I thought, these are real people. And, you know, they're so real, right? And like, I related. And I was very young. I was like 7 or 8 at the time, watched the movie like 3 dozen times or something. And I know. You know how kids are, right? You can watch a movie like 30, 40 times, the DVD's all scratched up, you know. And it was obviously on DVD. But it was a VHS. Have you ever seen one of these, like a garage sale or something? Yeah. This is what we used to do to watch films. I watched it again later when I was like 18 or 19, and I was like, wait a second, these characters are paper thin. Like, the movie is ostensibly about them defining their stereotypes, and Anthony Michael Hall being more than just a brain, because he probably done this school for some stupid reason. Judd Nelson being more than just whatever he's supposed to be, and like a burnout, but he's totally just a burnout. And then Molly Ringwald's supposed to be more than a princess, but just because she kisses Judd Nelson doesn't make any sense. And I realized like these people really are just the stereotypes that they claim to be, and I was shocked. I was totally shocked and floored and was totally bummed out by this. That doesn't connect in any particularly meaningful way to this lecture, except just to say that that the Breakfast Club is a really good example of stereotypes that I wanted to bring up. So, the definition of stereotypes we'll be using in this class is generalizations about the characteristics of members of groups. You can only see some of the presentation, same as like last week, because for some reason the display is screwed up, so messed up. Sorry. Okay, so definition is generalizations about the characteristics of members of groups, and these generalizations are applied to group members whether they actually apply, whether they're actually accurate or not. They're basically mental shortcuts, right? Let me take just a brief break, and you all talk amongst yourselves. Take a 2-minute break for technical purposes, and you guys can talk amongst yourselves. Okay. Okay, all right, so we'll get started again. So, stereotypes are generalizations about groups that are applied, whether or not they do apply to the individual member they're being applied to. And these generalizations are typified by being over-applied. They're based on some sort of information that you gather from your own experience or possibly from others. We'll talk about that stereotype acquisition process in more detail in a few minutes, but then they get over-applied, and that's almost the definition of stereotypes. So, that's the definition of stereotypes, but anyway. So, any group of people may face stereotypical perceptions and judgments. There's an assumption in the lay public that stereotypes are just negative assumptions about groups, negative generalizations about groups, but this is not the way we think of it in social psychology. We think of stereotypes as any sort of generalizations that are made about groups, even if they aren't entirely negative in their content, even if they're not only directed at groups that face stigmas. So, some examples of stereotypes stereotypical assumptions that are made about individuals include union members are lazy, black people are criminal, white people can't dance. That's true. That's at least at least true in my case, certainly. Genders are not intelligent. That's not true. So, or certainly not always true. So, union members are lazy. I used to be a union organizer, and during my time as a union organizer, this was an incredibly frustrating phenomenon that people would assume, like, wait, if we get a union, then I will become lazy. And I'm like, really? Really? You're going to just become lazy as soon as you have a union, as soon as you're in a union. And they're like, well, that's the stereotype. I assume that, right? And I'm like, really? Okay. Really. So, these are some examples of stereotypes. By the way, this is a lecture that in preparing for it and coming up with the examples and the images, one must step very carefully. There were many images and examples I could use that would not gone well. So, stereotypes are often thought of as negative, but they may also have positive or neutral content as well, because stereotypes are simply generalizations about the characteristics of groups, so they aren't necessarily entirely negative. That's something people often assume, but it's not the case with stereotypes. Stereotypes include positive content, such as Asians are assumed to be hardworking and good at math. I just bought this, and it's not a very good laser pointer. This is so unfortunate. That really sucks, right? You can't see. It's pretty bad, right? I'm returning this I'm returning it. Okay, all right, great. Just bought it. Okay, so we'll go back to this. This is awesome, right? Now we're having a good time. Okay, so Asians are assumed to be hardworking and good at math. That's not always the case, but it is something that's assumed. It's a positive trait, and it's part of the stereotype of Asians and Asian Americans. Mothers are assumed to be nice. That is always true. I'm not going to quibble with that, but it is an example of positive content to stereotypes. Yes. No, I haven't. Does it relate to the stereotype of mothers is nice? Or? Yeah. Okay. Certainly not always. Not always. Yeah. All right. I'm going to get right on that. Thank you. So you may be wondering where do stereotypes come from? And the answer from social psychology is that the mind has a natural tendency to seek simpler explanations to streamline the thinking and reasoning process. And we don't have any specific module to make stereotypes in our head. It isn't like some specific faculty. It's rather part of a broader set of faculties which involve us streamlining the cognitive process and making mental shortcuts all the time in order to navigate everyday life. So these generalizations and simplifications are really handy, right? So you made a generalization, you made a bunch of different generalizations about the relationship between behaviors that you do and outcomes when you drive a car, right? The first time you drove a car, maybe one of your parents or a friend of yours was teaching you how to drive, and they had to teach you everything, right? And everything was incredibly complicated. But eventually you sort of gradually drew these generalizations that allows you to do it more efficiently and more effectively. Like you now don't have to think that much in order to press the gas and know that the car goes. You don't have to think that much about how far down you press the pedal. You just kind of know, right? And you have an intuitive generalization about the relationship between the pedals and what the car does. Now you can do it pretty much automatically, and you don't have to think about specific circumstances in much detail. Now that's the same sort of process by which we develop and then apply stereotypes. We develop mental shortcuts that facilitate ease of perception in the case of stereotypes. Now, of course, here, this is great. Being able to make these mental shortcuts about how to drive a car is extremely helpful for driving a car. But then we often think of stereotypes as being socially dysfunctional because they lead you not to judge individuals as individuals. So some other simple generalizations that you develop in the course of everyday life in order to navigate your life include, when it's gray outside, it's going to rain, when I study hard, I do well, and so on. Now, this may not always be the case. Sometimes you study hard, you don't do well on the test. But it's highly functional to just have a simple read on this, a simple generalization that you can process quickly and live your life according to. You can imagine if you had to attend to everything in your future and in your present in absurd detail as it was a completely unique circumstance, independent of anything else in the past. If you didn't have the faculty to draw generalizations and apply them to your expectations and your future behaviors, you would be overwhelmed with cognitive processes at all times. So these generalizations are very useful, but then stereotypes are one byproduct of them. So, also, using things you hear from others to develop generalizations is handy too. Stereotypes are based not only on your own personal behavior, but also on information and you hear from other people. So, this would seem bad, right? Like, why should you take somebody else's word for what Latinos are like, or something like that? You should judge them on your own. But again, this faculty of human reasoning and human thought is very useful in other realms. So, for example, it's nice that you can just hear somebody tell you that it's dangerous to be in public parks after dark, and you don't have to go experience it, get mugged, and then draw that generalization yourself. People can just tell you, and you go, oh, okay, I won't ever do that. I'll just never, ever do that. That's highly functional, right? Or cigarettes will kill you. Your parents tell you this, and if you're smart enough, unlike me, to just believe them, then you can just draw that generalization. Cigarettes will kill you. I'll never smoke cigarettes. You have to smoke cigarettes in order to find out. Well, there'd be no way to actually find out and then draw the generalization because you would have died. But in any event, this is a very useful generalization to just take other people's word for. But again, while that's a very useful faculty, our ability to learn from other people and take their word for things, if they seem like a credible source, can then be problematic when it leads to social stereotypes. Okay, so some generalizations are entirely useful. Stereotypes have at least two factual problems. One, they're not just based on personal experience, but also on culturally received information. So, like I was saying, we base our generalizations not just on our personal experience, but also on what we hear from other people. But this is a problem, right? Because you don't know the reliability or accuracy of this information that you're getting from other people. So many Americans, for example, maintain racist stereotypes about blacks and Latinos, despite never having known a black or Latino person. Perhaps never even having met a black or Latino person, and that's rather silly, isn't it? And then even when you base stereotypes on personal experience, either largely or entirely on personal experience, they are often over-applied, right? They're generalizations about how anybody that's a member of this category, what kind of traits and behaviors you can expect of them. And so by definition, they're going to wind up being over-applied. Like, so it might be the case that professors are in general pretty smart, but if you always assume that, you're going to end up making some mistakes now and again, I assure you. So stereotypes based on personal experience are mostly wrong for overgeneralization reasons. Those received culturally from others likely include both sources of error because you're getting them secondhand, and the people who are forming them to begin with and then feeding them to you may have made their own personal mistakes, personal overgeneralization. So most stereotypes come from both personal experience and information you receive from others, and are sort of a hybrid generalization you draw from all information available to you: media, peers, parents, and then of course your own personal experience in life interacting with different sorts of people. So stereotypes are one approach to the study of discrimination. And when people say discrimination in psychology, they usually think about stereotypes as sort of the lens that they think about discrimination through. They say, oh, what happens is you have these non-conscious stereotypes, and that's how you make assumptions about other people that are often negative and unfair. In sociology, they often talk about status, right? And you already learned about status. You learned about status characteristics theory. And status characteristics theory has this whole other story, right, about how discrimination works, where there's discriminated against groups in society. These groups face stigmas. You know what which groups they are. You then hold them in lower status. You assume them to be less competent in interactions, and then you discriminate against them. And what you might wonder is these theories, they seem to overlap. So what's the difference and what's the overlap? What's pretty clear the overlap between theories is what are the differences between them? So for one, status beliefs are shared by all in a culture, right? So status characteristics theory argues that everyone in a given culture shares beliefs about the relative competence of African Americans, or whites, or women, or men, or what have you. On the other hand, stereotypes, while they are broadly culturally shared, they're also assumed to vary across individuals. Why is this? Because you base your stereotypes on both culturally received and media-based information, information from other people in your culture, and that creates the overlap with other people from your culture, but you also base them on your own personal experience. So you, for example, might have a bad experience with a poor white person or something, and you might develop some sort of negative stereotype about poor whites in America that maybe nobody else in your neighborhood has that stereotype because they didn't have that personal experience. So in that way, stereotypes describes generalizations and negative assumptions that are made about other groups of people in a slightly different way from the way theories of status do. Right, because they assume that there may be more individual level variance in stereotyping. Also, status theories tend to get very narrowly focused on competence, on how expectations about competence are kind of the main dependent variable in those theories. They say, look, there's these bases of status differentiation in a larger society. They lead to assumptions about competence. Those assumptions about competence lead to other things like allocation of lower pay, being passed over in conversations, having less influence over other individuals, and so on. So that's how status theories tend to work. They get really dialed in on how competent do you think people are. Whereas stereotypes are much broader than that. They're interested in a variety of traits about individuals. So stereotypes, yes, refer to all generalizations made about groups of people. And indeed, there are some groups where you may make no assumptions about how competent they are, but you do make lots of assumptions about other traits of them. So, for example, what would status characteristics theory say about how the assumptions you'll make about white people if you're in America? Well, status characteristics theory would say you'll assume them to be more competent than non-white people in our culture. So that's pretty much all they would say. And then they would say that could lead to higher pay, that could lead to greater influence by white people, and so on. What do stereotypes say about the generalizations we make about white people? Well, whites they are considered more competent. That's part of the stereotype of whites in America. They're also assumed to be more honest. Research has shown that. They're assumed to be really into folk music. I think there's no debating that. They're certainly more into folk music than anybody else. They're not into funk music, which is a strange decision because funk music's cool. And they love mayonnaise. Love it. Don't love hot sauce for some reason. I don't know why. These are assumptions that are made about white people. You're all making these assumptions all the time. You're looking at me right now saying this guy does not like hot sauce. I can tell. And it's just not true. But how can I convince you that I really like Sriracha and James Brown when I look as white as I do? So the stereotypes that are made, stereotypes about white people involve much more than just competence. They involve this theoretical approach to describing the assumptions that are made about groups is more complex and involves many more traits than just competence. Whereas status theories are really dialed in on competence. How many of you are familiar with this book or website or whatever? Yeah. So this is great. You should go check this out. It's very funny. It actually seems to be specifically about like bourgeois white people in the Bay Area. You know, like. And anyway, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go check this out online. It's a very ironic, amusing discussion of the stereotypes. It's a full fleshing out of stereotypes of a specific set of white people. I actually got the book version for my mom for Christmas. She thought it was hilarious. She loved it. And then me and my cousin had this competition of like which one of us was whiter by the definition of this book. And we were like both just absurdly white. Like it was just ridiculous by the standards of this book at least. Okay, so stereotypes have pervasive effects in everyday life. They affect a variety of things, including attitudes. Attitudes that you form about other groups of people. This is not surprising. You probably already knew this. So people may assume that you're hostile because you're a young black man, or they may assume that you're passive because you're an Asian woman. These are attitudes that are formed about you or about people around you based on stereotypes that are applied to you. But also judgments and evaluations of people are based on stereotypes. So you might not get a job because you're Latino, and the employer assumes some sort of things about you because you're Latino. Also behavior. Stereotypes affect behavior, the way you're treated, the way people are treated in society. So someone might cross the street to avoid you at night, or mistake you for a clerk in a store that you're shopping in. I was going to ask people to raise their hands if they had that one happen to them, but I won't do that. Or they might assume that you're a Republican because you're white and you're from the South, which happens to me quite a bit and annoys me. So stereotypical assumptions that are made about your behaviors towards you based on stereotypes can be very annoying, especially when they don't apply. But even when they do apply, you know, when people are like assume something about you that turns out to be accurate, like, oh, why did you assume that about me? Yes, it's totally true, but why did you assume that about me? So how do you learn stereotypes? Well, one way is media portrayals, movies, TV, video, music, and so on. You all know about this, I'm sure, well before you walked into this classroom. Another less obvious way in which stereotypes are communicated amongst individuals, between individuals, is through subtle aspects of language. So in a lot of ways, language can encode stereotypes. And I think one of the ways that I think members of stigmatized groups already know this, people maybe aren't members of frequently stigmatized groups might find this more surprising. People often betray stereotypes through what they identify as exceptions versus generalizations. So you might hear somebody describe an African-American job applicant as surprisingly articulate, you know, as though they should have been assumed to not be articulate. Or even just making light of the fact that somebody's articulate. I mean, why, you know, don't you just have to assume everybody's sort of articulate, you know? Like, I understood exactly what he was saying in the interview. Like, wow, oh, that is surprising, isn't it? And in this way, the person has conveyed the generalization they walked into the interaction with, or the assumption or expectation, by identifying, oh, this person was an exception to what I expected. Any questions about this? I didn't explain that as well as I could have. And then there's a lot of research showing that that just in general, when positive traits of African Americans are discussed in our culture, that they're discussed at a lower level of abstraction, again, as though they were specific to that person, which is basically the same idea. That, oh, this is an exception, this person has this positive characteristic. One of, I think, the most interesting areas you can see stereotypical judgments made, and I don't know why this is a sort of pocket of rhetoric and discourse in our culture where racial stereotypes are allowed to thrive like a friggin' petri dish, but for some reason it is. It's talk about sports. Like in the sports world, sports writing, you'll see tons and tons of stereotypical descriptions that the equivalent in everyday discourse, I think, would quickly become offensive and would be like stopped, but for some reason they don't stop in sports. So what the heck am I talking about? So I think one example, I'm a big basketball fan, one example that you see is that white basketball players are always described by the same set of traits, and they tend to refer basically to like how smart and like how much integrity they have, what leaders they are, and how just basically heroic they are. They're rarely described in terms of their physical abilities, even if they are profoundly athletic. They tend to be described as first in terms of their sort of cerebral abilities. On the other hand, African American basketball players are described in the exact opposite way. They tend to be described first and foremost in terms of their superior athletic talents, and they often are referred to as gifts. You know, that they have these gifts that they didn't have to develop at all because it's just like you're just born strong. Of course, you don't have to work at that or anything like that. So African American basketball players tend to be described in terms of their physical talents and not so much in terms of their mental talents, and this can be very frustrating, especially when it's like ludicrously incorrect. So some examples you'll see are white basketball players tend to be described as disciplined, unselfish, smart, fundamentally sound, a gym rat, hardworking, blue collar, the coach's son, the next Larry Bird. They're always the next Larry Bird. They have lots of intangibles. You should